Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Urban Update. I'm Byron Barnett. Does identity play a role in negotiations? How do perceptions and realities regarding race, gender, religion, culture, and age influence negotiation processes and outcomes? How do we overcome judgment, bias, and decision-making for situations of extreme pressure and high stakes? These are some of the issues that were discussed at the 2010 Negotiation and Leadership Conference presented by the Harvard Extension Service and Leadership Society in association with the Harvard negotiators at the Harvard Law School and the Harvard Extension Student Association. Joining me this morning to take a deeper look at this fascinating event is Chris Voss. He is the FBI's former lead international kidnapping negotiator. I'd just like to start out this morning, the subject of, I guess, negotiations and bias, race, culture, so forth is not something that I think everybody thinks about automatically, but maybe Chris, maybe I can start with you. Why is this a big deal, the whole idea of identity, the role that identity, race, culture, religion, gender, etc. plays in negotiations, and why is that important?
Sure, thanks, Byron. Well, when people first meet each other, they automatically look for common ground with the other side in the hopes that they can relay and that the other person can see who they are and what their issues, their problems, their fears are. And when we come from very different backgrounds and people don't see commonalities initially on the other side, then they become concerned that the other side's never going to be able to understand them. Now, the easiest way to get around that to start with is the best common ground is high ground. When we look for what we're really after as human beings, you want to live in a decent place. You want to be able to feed your family. You want a future for your children. People tend to share that, and when you start from that point, from a higher ground, then it makes it easier to overcome some of the other things that cause fear reactions in people.
Chris Voss, I guess you've been the negotiator for the FBI. Now you've taken your skills to the business level. I guess negotiating for as a person from the United States must be a completely different experience than Minister Bartlett from Jamaica. Talk to me about I guess what you see and how you manage your way through the smaller global world when you try to negotiate with so many different peoples around the world.
Well, it's a matter of whether or not you respond or whether or not you react. I don't like to react. I'm not interested particularly in what the perceptions of me on the other side are. I'm more interested in respecting the other side, and that really puts me in the first position. When I show respect for you, when I show that I demonstrate where you're coming from and that I can understand where you're coming from and what you want, that has a tendency to completely change the dynamic because the other side is expecting me to be adversarial. They're going to have their guard up. They're going to be looking for predicted American responses from me. And as soon as I stop acting like an American and I start acting like a human being that respects you, that changes the game completely, and then it becomes much more of a discussion than an adversarial negotiation.
Do you know of any examples where high-stakes negotiations worldwide on the national scale were impacted by cultural differences, racial differences?
People get into a reactive mode, so whether or not you're talking about how the Americans view the way Israel is reacting over the Israel-Palestinian issue, or how any given country is failing to react, and that immediately brings it into play.